Alright, the distributive property is simply an algebra way of saying multiply. So all we're doing is we're multiplying numbers on the outside of the parentheses by numbers on the inside of the parentheses. So if we have this number outside the parentheses and we want to multiply it, we want to multiply by everything on the side. That's why it's distributing. So 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times a letter is just 2 and the letter. So our answer on the distributive property is 8 plus 2t. Even if the number is on the other side, and that's what the symmetric property means, multiplication can be multiplied or distributed. We keep things in the order. So now if I'm going to multiply the 5 times the g, it's still 5g, and 5 times a negative 9, I still get a negative 45, and I get my answer. So multiplying algebraic expressions or using the distributive property or multiplication is no different. I have this 7 on the outside, and I'm going to multiply it by the number that's on the inside, which is 21, but the letter stays the same. And I multiply the 7 times a negative 5, and I get a negative 35. And so I get my answer. Even if it's on the other side, I'm going to take the 4 times the 6, which is 24. The v squared doesn't change. 4 times the v, and then 4 times the negative 3. My last problem is on the left hand side, so I'm going to multiply negative 6 times r, so I'm going to get a negative 6r. Negative 6 times a positive 3 is a negative 18g. Notice the letters aren't changing when I multiply by a number. And a negative times, and this is where it's difficult because that's a negative 1 in front, so I get a positive 6t. The next major concept that we need to really understand is combining like terms, which is an algebra way of saying adding. So anything that is alike, which is same letter and same exponent, we're going to add. So I'm looking, I have a u and I have a u, same letter, same exponent, so I'm going to add the 17 and the 25, and I get 42. The letter does not change, and so there's the answer for combining like terms. Over here I have a t squared, and I also have a t and a t. The two blue ones will get added because they are like terms. So the 6t squared does not change, but I have a 3 plus a negative 1, so I get 2. The letter doesn't change. The most difficult is writing correctly and then going through the process of distributing and combining like terms. So in this case, we want to be able to convert this into an algebraic expression. So twice the difference, so twice means 2 times. The difference is the subtraction of 3x and y. Then it gets increased by 5 times. Times is used with parentheses. Sum is adding, so x plus 2y. So there's the expression written. Now what we want to be able to do is simplify this. So down here in this part, we're going to simplify by and tell the properties. So if I go from the original to this one, what did I do? I used the distributive property. If I go from this one to this one, what happened? I used the multiplication property. Basically 2 times 3, negative 2 times 1. And if I look at this from this step to this step, what happens? Well, in this case, I'm using the commutative property because I changed the order. Notice how the 5x is now in the second place. Then I go to the next step from here to here, and I associate the 6 and the 5. And then my last step to here is I substitute.